Truckloads full of spoiled and dangerous food are heading to Indiana restaurants and grocery stores every year. 13 Investigates exposed this problem. Now the federal government is taking action.
Our chief investigative reporter Bob Siegel is here tonight to show you what's being done following our investigation. Bob?
Well, Scott and Julia, the images are disgusting to say the least. We're talking about hot, spoiled food that can make your family sick, and it might be going straight to your favorite restaurant. For the first time, the FDA now has a plan to prevent this from happening.
State police are pulling over a truck that's dripping blood onto the street. It's coming from boxes of chicken, pork, and beef inside the truck.
This is all thawed.
The meat is supposed to be refrigerated or frozen, but the driver forgot to turn on the truck's refrigeration unit. Inside the truck, it's now almost 70 degrees, dangerously high for transporting food. And inspectors find that the fluid and blood is dripping onto vegetables and other food inside the truck. All of it heading to restaurants in Bloomington, Columbus, and Indianapolis.
You wouldn't want your family eating any of that we just unloaded from this truck. And unfortunately, it was going to restaurants to be served.
This is not an isolated incident.
For 3 years, Eyewitness News cameras have been rolling as state police look for what's called hot trucks. Troopers have confiscated tons of spoiled meat, eggs, vegetables, milk, and cheese. All that was condemned and thrown away. But for every hot truck that's stopped, there are many others that slip through the cracks.
That's not acceptable.
Is the system broken?
I think it sounds like it is.
Lawmakers have been losing patience. 3 years ago, Congress passed a law to fix the very problems we've been showing you. The law requires the FDA to develop new rules for the safe transportation of food, an area that's been overlooked for a long time. But years later, we're still waiting. Frustrating for congressmen like Joe Pitts.
Enough is enough. Let's get some action here.
That action is finally happening. The Food and Drug Administration just released a detailed proposal that will, for the first time, give the FDA enforcement power over food transportation. The proposed rules would require trucks to be pre-inspected for cleanliness before food is even loaded, and they must be pre-cooled before accepting perishable food items. Food haulers must provide proof that proper temperatures were maintained during transit, and they have to receive proper training in food safety. Those caught violating the rules, well, they could face fines and are subject to civil and even criminal prosecution.
I think as a consumer, hopefully it provides a little confidence that there isn't a gap in the system where things could go wrong and their food could become unsafe.
Don Kramer is a senior food safety advisor at the FDA. He says the proposed rules are designed to stop situations like this and to prevent a major outbreak of foodborne illness.
We know there certainly is the possibility for outbreaks associated with things that happen during transportation. And this rule is all about putting in preventive controls to try to minimize the likelihood that those things will occur. The challenge is, did we get it right in who's regulated and what we're asking them to do?
To answer that question, the FDA is hitting the road.
The bottom line cost to industry for this rule is estimated at $149.1 million in the first year.
The agency is hosting a series of public meetings around the country to discuss the proposed food transport rule and to get feedback. At this meeting in Chicago, we heard no opposition. And here in Indiana, the feedback is very positive, even from the state's truck association.
I think it's a good idea to make sure you have a closed loop on the supply chain. If you're a transporter of food and you're doing it in the right way now, I don't see why this would be any additional hardship.
Indiana State Police like the proposal too. After our investigation, they got a new state law that allows them to crack down on hot trucks.
What do you think the temperature should be?
Troopers say a new federal law will help them even more.
It will bolster what we're already doing, what we've already accomplished in Indiana. I think it's a positive. I think it's a step in the right direction.
The FDA wants to know what you think of the proposed rule. We've posted it on our website, along with a link where you can send the FDA your comments. The deadline for comments is May 31st. It will likely be 2016 before the final regulation takes effect.
And this really impacts a lot of people, doesn't it?
It does. We're talking an estimated 83,000 companies that are going to be impacted by these rules. But actually, more importantly, it's estimated about 48 million Americans get sick from food poisoning every year. So 3,000 people actually die from that type of food poisoning. This proposed rule is designed to actually bring those numbers down.
All right. Bob Siegel tonight. Thank you.